I lied. Extra time does not start right now.
Why not?
Extra time starts when Seb gets the questions. I hope we printed that.
I could have given you change.
Oh, email it to somebody else because my phone is dead.
Okay. All right.
And we do have something here on the printer.
So those are not the questions?
They are not the questions. They are
So
not.
you gave it the slow jog for no reason?
Oh, and the printer's out of paper. Text Stevie. I'll read off his phone.
Okay. Good luck with that.
Yeah, right. Of all the phones to have chosen.
Yeah. With my IT skills.
All right, so we got the first question on the screen. I'm told I can read. Go ahead, sorry.
Hold on, didn't you give it the hey there, everybody?
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to this edition of Extra Time. You're right.
Yes.
The first question comes from Chav. He asks, is Tuchel worse than Southgate? I know Don thinks that. Olive, what do you think?
Well, Thomas Tuchel wasn't great with Bayern Munich, for example. Latest team before he came to England. And the criticism on Southgate was that he was very conservative with what could have been a very attacking team, or at least a team that was very talented in the attack, and that was not a priority for Gareth Southgate. Thomas Tuchel is supposed to bring that in his decision making in the way that he sets up the team. And yet you watch this team play right now. I don't know a year from now, but right now, everything is slow and predictable and deliberate, and it's just kind of like, wait a minute, I feel like I've seen this before from England. So is it a manager thing or is it a player thing? Either way, it doesn't seem to be working out all that great.
He's supposed to be the winner. He's supposed to be the man that gets them over the line.
Well,
It's kind of hard to compare a guy who's been there so little to a guy who's already kind of had success.
But the reason why he was brought in, because when you look at his CV, he's a winner.
Sure, but did you expect it to happen in 6 weeks?
No, not at all. I'm just saying they went from a man in Gareth Southgate that was brilliant for England. Now, people can say, well, he didn't get them across the line, they didn't win in a final, or they didn't win in a semi. Still pretty impressive what Gareth Southgate done. Now, they've looked at the CV of Thomas Tuchel and they thought, right, he'll get us to a semi, but he'll be the man that wins us a trophy. That's what they've gone for. I don't think it's going to work.
Now, if they just went a little bit further back and they just looked at his latest job with Bayern Munich, that was not impressive at all. Now, it coincided with a historic season by Leverkusen, but if you go back a season when he first came in for Julian Nagelsmann, had it not been by a collapse or for a collapse by Borussia Dortmund, Bayern Munich may not have won the league 2 seasons in a row under Thomas Tuchel. It took a collapse from Borussia Dortmund against Mainz the last game of the season in order for that to happen.
Guys, what was your top priority during the offseason? Fun with family, recovery for your body, or preparing for the season ahead? Stevie?
None of them.
Fun with anybody.
Yeah, fun with the lads in Iron
Fun with anybody that was interested in it.
Fun with
The other two, forget it.
Fun with the lads in Iron Appa.
Yeah.
That was, that's not on the list. Oh. Fun with your mates on holiday.
Yeah.
See what, I've never
Where was a good holiday spot? What was the?
Iron Appa. Iron Appa.
Where's that? Sorry.
Well, it's like
We're not Euros.
The old school Ibiza.
Oh, okay.
Lads.
It's in Spain, Ireland. Where is it?
So it's a bit of a lad culture, I think, in terms of.
Okay, where is it?
Is it Greece?
You don't even know where it is.
Hang on.
You went at this vacation spot, you don't know where it
I
is?
went there every year. We're 3 weeks in, I haven't got a clue where I am. That's how good it was.
I could never get my head around how the married guys were able to do that.
You couldn't pull it off?
Stevie,
No.
was this an urban myth? Because I heard back in the day at Liverpool that some of the players used to say to the secretary at Liverpool, can you draft up a letter saying we've got pre-season games or end-of-season games, official, so I can show the wife that we've got to go away? Is it?
No.
Myth?
I mean, yeah.
It's a myth.
Yeah.
Is it?
Yeah. Yeah. No, the only time that we went away at the end of the season was if the club arranged it. Back in the day, before you came, was if the club arranged it to make money.
So you would play games.
And then
you weren't going on vacation.
Yeah, and then we, because of the consequences of it, or the circumstances of it, then we got a few nights out as a group.
The best one we had.
But not season's end, right, lads? Let's arrange and we'll all go to Iron Appa or wherever. Because the boys are going, hold on a second. The season's over and you're just going to disappear.
Right.
One of the best ones we had at West Ham is the West Ham manager took us to Bondi Beach for a month.
A month?
Yeah.
After the season or before?
After the season.
Excuse me, Eleanor. By the way, just to let you know, we're going away with the lads for a month.
No.
Bondi Beach.
A lot of single lads were on that trip.
Okay. How did the team do the next season?
I can't remember.
Come on.
It was a brilliant month, though.
Can I just tell you that I actually, in one of those trips that Stevie had postseason, I actually watched them play. I was a young kid in Norway for a Norway Cup youth tournament, and Liverpool were playing against Rosenborg.
Wow.
And Steve Nicol was on the field. Now, of course, I didn't know Steve Nicol was Steve Nicol, but he
What
was
year
on the
was
field.
this?
1991.
Wow.
Postseason trip. So Norway, Oslo.
Was that a good trip?
Straight to the Highbury bar afterwards.
Highbury bar.
Yep.
When you became a pro, did your parents ever get involved when you had issues with teammates, coaches, or management? Of course, this on the heels of Mark Pulisic tapping into ChatGPT to defend his son.
No.
Did your parents, were they at your games? Did they go to your games? Were they at least
Not a lot, no.
involved?
I think we went to one Scotland game.
See, I was in digs and I went to Liverpool. And,
What does that mean, sorry?
it's like a house where a lady looks
okay.
after 4 or 5 of the players. But there's no phones back then, as in mobile phones. So we had a lady that used to look after us, but she had a house phone. And Jamie Redknapp was my roommate, and he used to speak to his dad like 3 or 4 times a day. And I'd be like, Jamie, what do you speak to your dad like 3 or 4 times a day? And he went, when do you speak to your dad? And I went, once a month, once every 2 months. Wow. And he went, what do you mean? And I went, watch, I'll phone him. I phoned him, and Jamie's ears were next to the phone, and the phone rang up in Gateshead, and he went,
What do you want?
what do you want?
After 2 months of not hearing.
No, because his...
Yeah, that was it. If you're calling me, you're in trouble, right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
His theory was, if you call me, you
Right.
need something. If you don't call me, I know you're absolutely fine.
Right.
And I've got a 24-year-old lad who lives in Ireland. We've got exactly the same relationship.
Was your father involved in your footballing career before you left?
No, he was.
Same for you?
He was
No
down to mine.
involvement?
He was 35 years down to mine.
He was golfing at the weekend.
Oh.
Couldn't go to a game. He was golfing.
Well, my parents were in Venezuela, and so obviously they couldn't come all the time, but when they did, my dad would go to the games, my mom did not. She did not like watching me play.
Like anxiety?
She would get nervous. But we had the final against New York Red Bull in LA, and I had him fly over from Venezuela to LA, and I told my mom, look, I don't know how many of these, how many more of these I have in me. I don't know how many more of these we're gonna get an opportunity to play in. You have to watch.
How'd it go?
And it went well because we won.
Yeah.
But my mom apparently was so tense during the match, like she wasn't saying anything. And then out of nowhere, like in the 92nd, 93rd minute, we're winning 3-1. She just started yelling uncontrollably to the referee in Spanish that he should blow the whistle.
The game.
But yelling,
It all came out.
And I guess my dad was like, my dad used to call her Nene, no, siéntate, tranquila, Nene, calm down, calm down. I've been told this by my parents that for a week after that, my mom had aches and pains everywhere because of the tension of
so
what
tense. Wow.
I was late. I was late for my first ever game. For
At Liverpool?
For Ayr United.
Oh, okay.
For Ayr United. And I had to run home because we'd mixed the lifts up. So I had to run half a mile from where I was meant to get picked up. Got home and asked my dad if he would take me to where the game was, which was about an hour away. I had to break his arm nearly.
Really?
He
For
was
your pro debut?
Well, he was watching the telly, wasn't he?
Wow. Yeah.
And he went 29 and a half mile an hour the whole way. Never spared.
He wasn't
nothing.
worried about the fine.
Oh
you were
no,
gonna
he
get
was.
now.
All he kept moaning about was we're going to give him petrol money. You're going to pay me petrol money.
Expenses.
Like that.
I'll say this about my dad. My older brother also played, and he had a tournament in Holland, and my team had a tournament in Brazil. He went with me to Brazil, came back, and basically we cleared customs, and the other side of customs, my mom was there with a new backpack for him to then turn around, check in, and get on the flight to go and watch my brother play in Holland. So, different type of relationship.
Has the World Cup ever seen a collection of managers with the successful club team pedigrees of Ancelotti, Tuchel, Pochettino, and Nagelsmann? Which one has the greatest chance of exceeding the expectations of the country they're coaching? It is something that's kind of happened, right? Like, I feel recently there's been a rush of club coaches into the, big name club coaches into the international space.
Ancelotti's got it all on, hasn't he? To try and win a World Cup with this Brazil team.
So who's got the greatest chance? I feel like Ancelotti in Brazil have the highest expectations, right? So
Well, it'd probably be a toss-up between Tuchel and Nagelsmann, wouldn't it?
for highest expectations.
Yeah, I mean,
who has the best chance?
USA are not going to win a World Cup.
No,
No,
but
but
you
it's
don't have
exceeding
to.
the expectations. Exceeding the expectations.
If we say the expectations for the U.S. are quarterfinals, round of 16.
Quarterfinals?
Yeah.
What?
Round of 16.
Real
Round of 16 is realistic. Exceeding would be quarterfinals.
Finals.
According to who?
I mean, so, like, I would say that's the line of demarcation. That's like you get to the quarterfinals, like you did what you did it.
Well,
If you make a round 16 and don't get to the quarterfinals, we'll view it as a failure.
Well, what I'm saying
Maybe I
is
define
round
that.
of the 16 would be the line of demarcation for me. If you make it to the quarterfinals, now you've exceeded the expectations.
There you go.
I guess
The
I put
realistic
it,
expectation.
I guess because it's a home World Cup, I give it like one more round that I put the expectation. And because Pochettino, you spend a lot of money there, you got to boost the expectations a little bit.
He's not playing, is he?
He's coaching. That
he?
don't have an
Oh, yeah.
impact. The only guy who's coached on this panel.
Yeah.
Don, who's your guy? Who you picking?
Way too complicated a question for us, that.
Brazil could get to a World Cup final.
Any question that has 5 lines should be banned.
No, I don't.
Brazil could get to a World Cup
didn't reach the
final.
bottom,
If
but-
they lost it to Brazilians, it would be a disaster.
Really? For the last
No, because that's what they
few
do.
years? And the last 20 of not.
They're a bang average side at the minute, but what I'm saying is I think they're so passionate and they only demand the best. If they lost in the
I
final,
think you could make
they'll
the
be
argument
devastated.
it's Pochettino just because.
Yeah, you ain't getting to a final set.
No, but that you had.
You're not getting to a quarters, man.
You're not
getting. I do. You're not getting to a final. You're not getting to a semis. You're not getting to a quarters. You might not even get past the last 16.
But that's what.
So you're telling me the expectations are super low. You just made the point, Don. Thank
Yes. The question is
Leave
exceeding
it.
the expectations.
Ali, leave it.
you. Leave it.
I was trying. I'm trying.
We're
Leave
one
it.
step away from percentages.
Leave it.
I know.
Leave it.
Don, after we heard your Alan Pardew story yesterday, who was the best coach you played under?
That's a great question. Proper men like Walter Smith, Peter Reid, Graham Souness, guys that you didn't really need.
Can you pick one? Is there a difference between manager you?
If I had to pick one, it'd be Howard Kendall. He'd be the one that would
I
jump
feel
off
like
the
you
page.
had a very good personal relationship there.
I loved him. He was like
Yeah,
my second dad.
yeah.
He was amazing. One of the best guys I've ever met. Not just because he was a football manager, but in any walk of life, Howard Kendall would win.
Is there a difference between like the guy you feel the best about, maybe Howard Kendall, and the guy you felt like was the best coach for you, or is it the same for both?
Well, the guys that I mentioned, like Graham Souness and Peter Reid and Walter Smith, these were guys that would nail you if you played poorly. But if you had your best game, they'd just give you a little wink or a little tap on the shoulder. You didn't need much more because you knew coming from them, it was like pretty special. So guys like that who made you work for every yard and made you run as hard as you could because you respected them and you respected their careers, but the types of managers they were, you'd run through brick walls for every one of them.
May I just say, because when these questions come about, we usually talk about the managers at the professional level that we played under. And we seem to ignore or overlook the importance of the youth managers. The guy that
Started it all, right?
that either discovered you or
the
saw
spark.
you for the first time or said something to you and said, you have something, and I'm gonna try to get that something out of you every single day in order for this to become a reality for you. And they're not getting anything out of it, the youth coaches. And I have to say, some of the best coaches I had were youth coaches in Venezuela, a couple of Uruguayan guys, Pipo Rossi and Carlos Ravel, and they were, for me, they had me, I thought that I would make it, but they had me believe that I was good enough to make it. And
Were they the first beyond you to tell you could make it, or to make you that belief? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
and the way that they would sort of play with that mental game, and this guy Carlos Ravel, you think I'm moody now. When I was a kid, I was insufferable because I wanted to win. Because it's just a competitive edge that you have. And even as a little kid, I was like that. And we were playing a tournament. Actually, it was the Norway Cup. It was that tournament that I was mentioning. And it was like in those youth tournaments, you play about 3 or 4 games a day. It was crazy. But back then you did it, and it was the most amazing time. And he wanted to rest me, and I didn't want any.
I didn't fly to Norway to rest.
I didn't want any part of resting. And he sat me down, and he knew how to get me fired up. he would walk up and down the sidelines and be like, the beast is in rage. The beast is in his cage. And he would say it on purpose, and he knew that I was just like, By the time he put me out on the field, it was like, I want to eat everything in front of me. Back then, it made a difference. Back then, I would score goals. Back then, it was. But those guys, at least for me, I find them even more significant than the guys at the professional level.
Yeah, I feel you on that.
Well said.
All right, next question. Seb, welcome back. Good to be back. How do you view the current state of the USMNT?
Oh boy.
Hey,
Welcome back.
Hey, hold on. I'm picking the grandkids up.
Yeah.
You're going to go on for half an hour.
Yeah, we just did this.
Well, welcome back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to be back. It's good to be back. Next question. Don, with Leverkusen losing to Xabi Alonso, Wirtz, Ta, and Frimpong, what is the percentage chance they qualify for the Champions League next season?
Pretty low, I'd imagine. Pretty low. 20%?
Bundesliga, Ale, what do you think?
20%, Ali?
What's that? The chance they qualify for Champions League again next season? No, I give them a 40%.
Really?
To qualify would mean finishing in the top four.
Yeah.
So,
Ten Hag in charge?
okay, 30%.
There you go. There you go.
I love that.
And it's sliding. It's sliding.
No Wirtz, no Ta, no Frimpong?
No, look, they could be falling apart, but I'm just saying, who are they competing against for those positions? And there is a chance for them to finish in that top four position, that fourth place. I'm going to say 30% just because of the 10 Hag factor. Took a 10 off. Took a 10 off.
Yeah, it's worth a 10% discount. Huh?
Yeah. Yes.
10 Hag discount. All right, that'll do it for this edition of ESPN and this edition of Extra Time. Thank you so much for watching. And a reminder to watch tomorrow's show where we'll be covering, among other things, the U.S. men's national team and their last friendly for the Gold Cup taking on Switzerland. See you then.